So, welcome back to the Healthy Skin Coach Show. I'm Takashi, your host, helping you get clear skin and preaching to the world why food is the ultimate medicine. Today, I have a very special guest. His name is Nick KHO, and he's the founder of Real Social Dynamics, which provides self-development content in over 70 countries and has hosted 1,000 annual live events all over the world. Now, he's the chair of Vistage Worldwide. Thank you, Nick, for joining me.
Hey, pleasure to be on the show.
Yeah, it's been a minute. Let's see. The last time we talked was we played golf. That was a while
absolutely.
ago. Yeah,
I remember I used to have that as my daily routine for health and fitness.
Yeah, golf. I miss playing golf.
Yeah, it's very relaxing.
Mm-hmm.
I guess my new routine has been yoga and meditation.
Yeah, since all the gyms are closed, I have an ab roller at home, and so I'll do like 20 reps, and then I'll do a jog outside. And usually, if it's sunny, I'll take off my shirt to get vitamin D in, and then I finish with like 30 pull-ups. There's a tree branch outside, and I just do pull-ups on it. That's
I love it. Very creative.
Yeah, and I miss going to the saunas at the gym, because like saunas are really great at boosting white blood cells and strengthening your immune system. So, especially during this time, I need my saunas. You know.
Well, yeah, I love saunas. I'm in Vegas, and most of everything is closed, including all the saunas. The entire Las Vegas Strip is closed. I used to be a regular going to the spas for saunas to relax and decompress between working and getting ready to just have personal time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I saw videos of the Vegas Strip just almost abandoned, and the casinos don't have locks on their doors, so they have to board up the doors. Did you see that?
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, during this apocalypse, I haven't really left my house that much, other than to go to Sprouts or Whole Foods.
Yeah.
I have a vegan diet, so I'm very particular about what I eat.
Sure.
It's probably the biggest thing that's helped me with my health.
Yeah. Going vegan.
I feel a lot more awake, a lot more alive, and I've lost more weight than I've ever thought was possible. On a daily basis, I'm able to really stay on top of my health, mostly just because of diet.
Yeah.
Meditation and yoga isn't really that much an intensive workout like what you're doing with your tree branch and pull-ups, yet it feels really great. I have a lot of peace and harmony in my life right now.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, a vegan diet's great at reducing inflammation inside the body, and that's what I've been researching. That's been my primary focus, and I've been making all sorts of videos on why inflammation is the root cause of pretty much every medical condition out there, and it really stems from food and all the inflammatory chemicals that are released when you eat certain foods, and that just has a trickle down effect. And then for me, I had severe acne growing up because I was eating the wrong foods, and then going on all these prescription drugs to help with that. And then just last year, I had severe debilitating eczema from eating certain foods, and I was tired of seeing dermatologists and doctors and just getting prescribed steroid cream after steroid cream. And I knew there was a better way to heal my body. And then I just studied the science behind nutrition and health and inflammation. And now I know so many things that no doctor or dermatologist will tell you. And so that's why I started becoming a healthy skin coach and helping people all over the world with their skin.
Awesome. Well, the skin is my favorite organ in my body.
Yeah.
And I definitely love taking care of my body. I'm right now in the Perfect Health program, which is a Deepak Chopra Oprah program, where every day I do a meditation focusing on my perfect health. I also notice a lot about how mindset and thought can really change also your body's internal process. And so I've been studying a lot of Dr. Joe Dispenza and about that. Right now, my spiritual and health practice is focused mostly on a very, very simple life with 7 simple things that I do in my life. And in terms of my diet, I eat almost the same thing. Every breakfast, every lunch is exactly the same. And I usually mix it up at dinner time. But I usually just have some apples, bananas, blueberries, boysenberries, raspberries, mangoes, covering it up with some almond butter, peanut butter, some sesame seeds, pumpkin seeds, and then I'll have a tea and just hydrate throughout the day. I think hydration has been a huge focus of mine, especially out here in the desert, where I try to stay up 7 glasses of water every day. If I have a tea, I'll add an additional glass of water to every glass of tea I have, just to stay hydrated. I think that the challenge of living in a city like Las Vegas is that um, for one, everything is closed,
Mhm.
so you
Yeah.
really need to make everything yourself, which is actually a good thing for everyone who's not used to making their own food. And then the second thing is that uh, I guess because there's so many amazing restaurants that I can choose from, I have the diversity issue. So you have to really choose what you can eat from so many different options to choose from.
Yeah. There's so many good restaurants there. Do you do any fasting?
I have done fasting. I've done juice fasts, and very, very difficult. I think that for me, I wasn't able to last more than a week, but that week was probably one of the most sufferable weeks of my life.
Yeah. I did, my longest was 3 days, and that was when I was trying to find any solution to my severe eczema. And I mean, I was debilitated, like bleeding all over my bed. It was that bad. And doing a 3-day fast was one of the best ways to reduce inflammation inside my body. And I noticed, tighter pores in the face. And what it does is reduce sebum production levels. So that's why your face starts, your face looks better, glowing, and then I could notice the inflammation dying down on my skin. And what I do is
Mm.
intermittent fast, so I don't eat from 8 p.m. to 12 p.m. So I try to eat within 8 hours. And right now, during the quarantine, because my activity is kind of low, I just eat almost within a 3-hour period. So I'm fasting for 20 hours plus.
Mm. Yeah, I have a similar kind of process to eating at certain hours. I'll have a breakfast of fruits, the fruit concoction I just told you about. I'll have that at 8 a.m. I'll have it again at 11 a.m. And then at dinner, I'll have a dinner around 3:30 p.m. For that, I'll usually look up a vegan recipe on the internet and then make it myself.
Yeah. Yeah, I pretty much never eat breakfast anymore, just because I want my body to activate autophagy, which is cell recycling of the dead proteins and dead cells inside, and that's really important for the anti-aging process. And then once a month, I'll do like a 1 or 2 day fast and just flush out and detoxify all those dead cells in my body.
That's great.
Yeah. Okay, so the most of my viewers have never heard of Real Social Dynamics. Could you kind of describe your background and how you were inspired to create that company?
Sure. So I grew up somewhat socially awkward. And one day I found a bunch of people organized on discussion boards dedicated to dating advice and social dynamics. And they're sharing all sorts of stories, field reports of what they've done and on their dates. And I found it really fascinating. And so what I did is I decided that I was going to meet the most popular posters on the discussion boards. So I ended up flying all over the world for about 6 months, meeting these people. And I became friends with a bunch of them and started sharing my own stories, my own success stories with my future business partner, who eventually moved into a Hollywood Hills house with me. We decided to share what we learned by transforming this Hollywood Hills house into a boot camp facility where we filled it with bunk beds. We'd have up to 33 people at a time, paying a couple of $1,000s a weekend. We'd be their wingman, taking them
Mhm.
out to nightlife and critiquing their interactions. What ended up happening is 20 years later, more or less, we have now done this program all over the world. And in addition to that, we do web coaching, digital video courses. Yeah, Real Social Dynamics is now a global company. I was involved with that company as a co-founder, CEO, and president. And then I decided to step away and focus more on conscious living and kind of just let board of directors take over. But it's an amazing company that has done massive transformations in the lives of people. And if you want to really check it out, I recommend checking out the YouTube videos from our top influencers like RSD Tyler, RSD Free Tour. There's a network of 20 channels that we have that kind of promote the business and really share stories every week, kind of like mini documentaries where you have every single week our own little video shoot from different cities around the world. It's kind of cool right now because right now we're in the pandemic of Corona, so we actually have time to not travel and catch up on a backlog of videos. We have about 1.5 years of videos still to edit. And usually we're so into making new videos. Now we have time to kind of relax and focus on our personal lives and also just focus on editing.
Yeah, if you're watching this, go to YouTube and type in RSD Tyler, and there's a bunch of videos that come up, and some of them are really funny. So, and it works, and yeah, so I recommend you checking those out. And Nick, you've actually coached some of the top CEOs in the world on personal development. How do they like kind of reach out to you, and what's the interaction like?
I created a program called RSD Founders Club because a lot of our clients are CEOs of companies. And what I did was I created a network of a few hundred people, and I chose 10 of them to join me on an exclusive mastermind group. I've only done this once, and there's a chance for me and other CEOs to get together at the house in the Hollywood Hills and share business strategies and tactics. I got really, really into that and enjoyed it so much, I decided to create a YouTube channel myself. It's the Nick Co official YouTube channel. And what I did was, while building Real Social Dynamics, I was a part of several educational business network groups. I spent about $1 million in 4 years going to different programs. And I created a huge network of buddies that would hang out, to go to the bars, have dinner, just chill. But I never really dived deep into just their business, like in a formal setting, just grinding into what they're doing and interviewing them. So I decided to create a YouTube channel to do that, where I interviewed some of the most successful entrepreneurs. For me, it was really educational. It was also a fun way to reconnect with people. And now done several hundred of these interviews and interviewed all sorts of really fascinating people, like Steve Wozniak of Apple, or Gary Vaynerchuk, the social media expert, or John Ozerov from The Secret, and all sorts of really fascinating people. I spent the last year, though, also just connecting with a lot of them, just as friends, and going on more of a spiritual journey path. A lot of our company, Real Social Dynamics, is also kind of pivoting towards conscious living programs. And I myself am really interested in that as well.
Yeah, that's great. You know, building this global company, it must have been difficult. What were some of the key mistakes that you made while growing it, and what are the lessons that you learned?
One of the most challenging moments of my life was in 2008. That was the first year we made the Inc. 5000 list. And I think we were ranked the 86th fastest growing company of private companies in California at the time. And in that same year, the recession hit, and I was down about $6,000 a day net every day of the week, just from the business model, because we were growing on the basis of a business to consumer product where people would fly to LA. And when the recession hit, people couldn't fly to us. They were really struggling to make ends meet. So the biggest challenge was getting over that, because by the time I figured out a game plan, I was about $500,000 negative in the red. So what I did is I took a magazine of Delta Airlines. I took every city that was on that map and put up a date next to it. And I emailed our email list, which was pretty large at the time, and I said, hey, I'd like to organize a free event in these cities. you'll probably live in one of them.
Mhm.
And if you're interested in volunteering, giving me a place to crash, picking me up from the airport, driving me around, or hosting me, send me an email to volunteer. I had 700 people volunteer in the first 24 hours.
Wow.
And then I did that tour, 270 cities, 70 something countries. And at these free events, I also sold some of our products and programs and eliminated all of our debt. It was pretty hardcore, but the lesson I learned from that was that you got to be very careful about growing too fast, because when surprise things happen like Corona or recession, if you're not prepared for a backup plan, you're probably going to crumble. And it's really difficult. A lot of pressure, a lot of sacrifices.
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
On that topic, how would you compare 2008 to what's currently going on right now? And how are you navigating the market conditions for the future?
Sure. One of the fortunate things that we did between 2008 and now is we went from a company that was all live events to a company that also does web coaching via Zoom. We have mentorship where you could do a 6-week mentoring program with my co-founder, Owen Cook. And then we also have digital video courses, 10, 20-hour courses. We used to launch one of those programs once a month, and we just had new different variations of these programs. And that allowed us to be somewhat prepared for Corona. However, Corona is way beyond what I expected, because we had, as you said earlier, so many live events around the world. We had to cancel all of them. And me, having spent most of the last year as a student of various workshops to learn and grow myself, I had to cancel my entire personal calendar as well. And to get around that, we are definitely building a lot of new business lines, new ideas, things that we've never thought about. And I myself have been pulled into some of that strategic thinking all over again. And it's been tough. It's been challenging. I think that it's a very big surprise when I talk to my friends and I hear them shutting down their business,
Mhm.
and then giving it, or other friends who are giving us advice about how to build new partnerships with other companies. And we're looking for a lot of that. We're looking for new business lines. We're looking for new coaches, and we're looking for new partners.
Yeah. Do you know Dan Fleischman by chance?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know Dan.
Yeah.
I interviewed him here in Vegas.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, Dan has been hosting these elevator nights on Sundays. And what he does is he has this massive Zoom invite, and he gets the top um, coaches and consultants and speakers in real estate. He has a specific industry focus on each of these elevator nights. So tonight actually is focused on fitness and health. And that's why I'm really interested in joining that one. But last week it was like real estate, and that's what he's been doing. So he's hosting these massive events and inviting these speakers from all over the world, and they can just join in on Zoom. So maybe that's maybe that's one idea that you could implement.
Yeah, definitely. I actually have noticed that on a daily basis, I get invited to do Zoom calls. Um, and so many people are using that as their way of counteracting the social distancing that's required by law, from all these quarantine laws that are being put upon us. Yeah, I think it's great. I've actually done one of these kind of like yoga, Kundalini yoga programs via Zoom as a workshop. And I also did a workshop where we kind of just had our own meditation ceremonies together, just to relax, Vipassana style. In terms of like health masterminds and learning for people in terms of health. Right now, the only people that I followed on YouTube would be like Brandon Carter and Greg O'Gallagher, and I'm interested in checking out yours as well. But I'm also I've been attending retreats, like meditation retreats, 2-week silent meditation retreats, or perfect health programs. I know Deepak Chopra has these week-long programs in Carlsbad, California, called Perfect Health, where they have treatments and seminars about your diet and health. You do workout and yoga. I found those also very useful.
Yeah, yeah. I like that you're really trying to live a stress-free life. And a lot of my clients start noticing their symptoms when they experience a traumatic event or a stressful time in their life. And what happens is your sympathetic nervous system, which is your fight or flight response, doesn't know how to turn off that fight response when you have a stressful event. And so it's causing your adrenal glands to produce more cortisol in the body. And that's why there's chronic inflammation that's just constantly building up. And and they're not managing their stress at all. And so in order to heal the skin, you have to not only heal the gut, but also manage all that built up inflammation and stress. And, you got to lower that stress levels in order to start truly healing the skin.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting that you brought up the science behind that fight or flight response in terms of health. I've been reading a book called Wired for Love by Stan Tatkin. And he talks about how that also occurs, where in your hypothalamus, there's chemicals that are released into the brain that give instructions to the pituitary and adrenal glands to reduce stress chemicals or release stress chemicals into the body and signal that need for fight or flee or freeze. And that happens oftentimes in relationships as well. And if I look at social interactions, like we look at the real social dynamics, and the guy's interested in meeting a girl, he'll get these same kind of reactions in his body that cause him to either not take action or maybe take action, but maybe he freezes at some point. And it's so interesting that you brought up that same topic. And I think it's really interesting also because my biggest fascination right now is about the science of authentic communication and also having a deep inner harmony, because I think that in order to really convey the right message, you need to at first have peace inside.
Yeah, definitely. I've been just obsessed with learning how inflammation plays such a key role in health and managing inflammation through diet and lifestyle and workouts and doing other things in order to just reduce that inflammatory response in the body. Are you aware? Are you familiar with the Wim Hof method?
Yeah, the breathing exercises. I'm a
Yeah,
fan of that.
yeah. So I do breathing techniques when I'm on doing a jog or when I'm stretching in the morning, and also cold showers every morning. Is very important because it's a hormetic response. Basically, what doesn't kill you actually makes your body stronger. So these little stress signals in the body are actually helping your body adapt, and it's part of the anti-aging process. So hormetic responses are cold showers and baths, saunas, fasting, and exercising. So those are the key four things that I put into, that I do for my body and which will help me live longer.
That sounds great. I'm definitely a supporter of all those.
Do you have any predictions on the crypto market?
Well, I'm definitely a bullish person in terms of Bitcoin, and I believe that after this presidential election and after Corona is over, I believe the next year that crypto will be multiples of what the price is at right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the halving's coming soon, I believe next month, and most people say that the price, the event is not priced in, and when the increase in supply is reduced to half of that, to 6.25 Bitcoin, then yeah, if demand stays at the same level, then it's just pure simple math. I mean, more demand, less supply, and that the price naturally has to rise.
Yeah, I completely agree with that.
Yeah. And then any thoughts on what the Fed is doing and how the government is trying to manage this situation?
I think that the regulation of cryptocurrency is definitely something that has not happened. I don't think that they are going to really put the time into doing that until they have like a much larger buy-in into the use of cryptocurrency, because right now people aren't using it as the main currency or even like a major sense of currency around the world. There's a lot of people that are doing it, but it's definitely a minority. As adoption starts taking place, I believe that there will be a lot more regulation than there is right now. I think that there's been a lot of people who right now have been attempting to make it easier to buy stuff, and I accept all cryptocurrencies for our products and services. Mostly we get Bitcoin and Ethereum for our products and services. We were one of the first companies that was willing to accept any cryptocurrency for our products and services. Yet I think most businesses are not willing to do that yet. There's a lot of concern and a lot of unknowns and a lot of misunderstandings what cryptocurrency is. In the long run, I definitely expect that to change. And at that time, I think there'll be a lot more government interest in regulating that.
Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts on how the Fed is printing $6+ trillion in order to support the economy? Do you think that's the solution?
I think that the Fed is definitely run by some really smart people. Yet at the same time, the solution isn't going to be done from just one thing, like printing more money. What the solution I believe that you're referring to is like how to have a better, more thriving economy where people are getting what they need and want. And I think that what's going to happen is that consumers are going to dictate what demand is going to be based upon their own actions, what they support, what they don't support. I think a lot of it will also depend on how cryptocurrency is managed in terms of how it's used. Is it safe? And seeing actual markets being used to trade in services that people are using every day, as opposed to what we're seeing in cash. I'm very fascinated though by how the U.S. dollar has surprised me. I was expecting that when the dollar or the U.S. markets drop, we would see a larger interest in Bitcoin, but that hasn't happened yet. So I guess what I'm really curious about is how those things are going to change when we see these big things. I mean, things like larger growth in the U.S. economy. Will that increase Bitcoin? And what happens when Bitcoin is being used by more publishers and consumers? I think that if you start seeing Amazon and other big marketplaces taking Bitcoin, that's when things are probably going to make some big shifts.
Yeah, definitely. What are your thoughts on how industries will forever be changed because of this global pandemic? And which industries are you kind of bearish on now?
Yeah, I think that the fact that I'm in the personal development business, which is coaching programs, one of the interesting things about that is that there is a huge drop in these businesses. Most of them are really going down because their inability to host workshops. You just can't. I think that in terms of airlines as well, it's definitely you'll go look at the flights. You could get a flight to Hawaii for under $100 right now, and I think it's really fascinating to me about how so many companies are going down. I mean, if I look at just the fear of anything that requires you to leave your house. I've talked to moving companies because I had to move stuff across state borders, and moving companies that I've talked to have executed 90% of their staff. They have 10% of their staff left. And I've seen the same thing happen in many industries. Many industries. I think that the majority of industries are really being hit hard. In terms of bearishness, I can be bearish in almost any kind of business except for grocery stores. For grocery stores, it seems to be like Christmas every day of the week now. Um, it's so difficult to get almost any supply, even toilet paper.
Yeah. I just watched a video on how the restaurant industry is just getting hammered. And I think I mean, personally, I might be social distancing for the rest of my life just because of how fast this virus spread and how global it went. And then you kind of realize how dirty humans are. And and every day we're just spreading germs with each other. And so I think that mentality and perception is not just shared by me. I think a lot of people will have, keep distance from each other, which will affect concert venues, sport venues, obviously the restaurant industry. Yeah, I heard something interesting that what if what if sports and concerts reopen and then there's another outbreak? Are they liable because they reopened?
Yeah, I think that businesses have to be very, very careful about what they're going to do in terms of liability waivers and what have you, because yeah, it is a very unusual concern that we haven't thought about. I think that it also could be a blessing in disguise for a lot of people. Business owners are starting to realize new solutions. A lot of people have preferred working from home, and they can still do many jobs just from at home. Now, it's a little difficult to do that for, say, restaurants, but new business lines are opening up for food delivery services who are getting more business and stuff like that. I think it's definitely going to lead to a lot of new creative solutions, because who knows how long this is going to last. I'd expect it to last throughout the year.
Commercial real estate is one that's also interesting, just because a lot of these companies might now realize that they don't need a big office space to conduct business. So you might see a drop in prices in a year or two.
Yeah, I could totally see that as well. That is definitely a possibility.
Mm-hmm.
I know that it doesn't make sense to rent an office space when it's illegal to go to your office. So yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, this was awesome, Nick. I appreciate your time. Where can people find you these days?
If you're interested in learning more about me, check out my YouTube channel. It's Nick KHO. My last name is spelled KHO. And I have 2 shows on it. One where I interview people that are business leaders themselves, and the other are where people interview me. And it's a fun show. It's a very fun show.
Awesome. All right. If you're watching this or listening, please check out Nick KHO's YouTube channel. And yeah, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you. Cheers.
Awesome. Stay safe. Peace.